Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. You are here on the home of the Slightly Above Average Ship Review. Got a wargaming special here for you today, that's right. We've got a fake ship that never existed. We've got a fake commander that never existed. And we've got a special Brazilian flag. We're here on Greece, we're top tier in a domination match in the utterly fictional battleship Atlantico. Why do I say it is utterly fictional? Well, I looked at a bunch of different sources from Wargaming's own website. Tennyson de Eindcourt developed Project 686, a battleship with 8 405mm guns. Despite support from someone named Admiral de Basilar, who requested the secondary guns that are in this ship, 240mm secondaries. Despite support from that guy, the project was never implemented. And then it includes this phrase: Atlantico is a variant of the further development of the Brazilian battleship. A variant. So that means it's created by Wargaming, essentially, because of all the other sources I looked at. Just Google searching, a really good Google foo. I looked at Tennyson de Eindcourt's, I Googled 686, which essentially routes me back to Wargaming's information. So I looked at his Wikipedia page. It said he was responsible for developing Agincourt, Hood, Nelson, and several very large capital ship designs rendered inadmissible under the Washington Naval Treaty. So this ship and the project number is not mentioned. Well, you know what is going to be mentioned? That salvo on Vladivostok. Now, I hate to say it, folks, when you get a broadside Vladivostok, you have to take advantage, especially if you're in a made-up ship like this one that only shoots armor piercing. Again, I don't know, maybe there was an embargo that we're all unaware of, that Brazil couldn't have HE shells. Maybe they said Brazilian women are so hot that the HE shells will spontaneously combust. So for everyone's safety, we're going to use armor-piercing shells only. There's zero justification given for this. But as you can see, when you get a broadside Vladivostok, you can punch them pretty hard, even though the accuracy on Atlantico leaves a little bit to be desired. Now, granted, the fake commander that we're using, not the real commander who requested the ship, Admiral de Basilar, not the real commander, but the fake commander. The fake commander is just a generalist base commander, so he isn't really going to do a whole lot for you in this ship. And as you can see, that was just trashy dispersion there. And so it would have been nice. It would have been nice if this ship, and maybe the Agincourt could have had a real battleship commander. I know the Agincourt's listed as a British ship. It was intended to be built for Brazil. Why it didn't end up in the Brazilian Pan-American catch-all tech tree. Again, that's not a decision that I make or whatever, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense in my opinion, especially because you already have plenty of British premium ships. Just saying, I know a lot of Brazilian people play this game, Wargaming, and I know in World of Tanks they created special tanks just for Brazil, like the Brazilian Bulldog, was it? I can't remember. It's been so long since I played that. Anyway, they had a special version of a tank just for Brazil. Anyway, there's a special version of a reef created out of the sunken hull of the Vladivostok. By farming the Vladivostok, we're already up to 73,677 total damage with 4 Citadel hits. So Atlantico's got some limitations. It's got a World War I Dreadnought era turret layout. It only fires armor piercing. It does have okay secondaries. I'm not ready to say they're great. And we do get a solo base cap. All right, moving back to the history thing. I tried to look up the Admiral guy I was talking about, and they just sent me somewhere else. All right, so we have another mention of Tapatalk. Armstrong Export designed 686 for Brazil, putting those guns at 406 millimeters, not 405 millimeters, and certainly not the 381 millimeter guns that you allegedly have in this game per WoW's builds. All right, so we're moving out in Atlantico. My thought was to get shots on that guy. That didn't work out. Originally, I was thinking I could move in on the Shkane and use my secondary guns to take him out. But that was not to be, because as you see here, I'm going to miss and I'm going to get disheartened. And I'm going to turn around and head towards the other side of the map, because that's where the two remaining ships are. So while we're doing that, let's look at one other thing here. On another Reddit thread, World of Warships from 5 years ago, talked about the new Pan-American line. Vickers and Armstrong, Pan-American Navy design, 686. Again, they mentioned 406 millimeter guns, 239 millimeter secondaries. So not all these numbers are matching up with what Wargaming says. But then Wargaming used their variant catch-all to just make up whatever they wanted to make up for this game and for this commander. So, I mean, to me, I'm sorry, I hate to say it this way, this is just pandering in the ultimate form. And if you're from Brazil or South America and you feel you have to get this ship, it is a Pander-fest. They give you a made-up ship out of thin air whose stats don't match the actual ships that were in design. And they give you a fake made-up commander instead of a real actual commander that actually did stuff. They gave you a fake one, okay? And if that's not pandering, I don't know what is. All right? Speaking of pandering, we're going to move over. This really doesn't have anything to do with pandering. We're going to move over here and get some shots out on the Massachusetts. The Massachusetts styles itself as a secondary focus battleship. The Atlantico is definitely a secondary focus battleship. And so even though our team is beating the pants off of the red team, we're going to do just that. Until I see the broadside Amagi. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Broadside Amagi, much better target. So we're going to switch our aim there. And the Massachusetts is about to die. I was hoping I could get him with my secondaries. And I actually don't think that's going to be the case. Our first salvo at Amagi left a lot to be desired again. Dispersion on the ship is pretty trash-matic. And as you can see here, you're also, to get these 5 guns on target, ideally, you're going to take some damage in return. Okay, so when I say ideally, I mean, ideally you're going to want to get all 5 turrets on target, but in doing so, you're going to leave yourself open to damage. All right, there we punch the Amagi again, another Citadel hit, high caliber metal unlocked. You can watch me just farm damage off these ships. I'm going to go back to WoW's builds and give you some stats, all right? So the damage record, 228, 243, and the base XP record, 2847, both by the same player. The Sigma of Atlantico, 1.80, so the same as the King George, except the King George V has a real commander. The arming threshold of the armor-piercing shells, 63 millimeters. The overmatch, 27 millimeters. And there are no fire per minute stats, obviously, because we don't have HE. All right, continuing to farm damage, back to WoW's builds. Stat comparison at Tier 7. There are 20, count them, 20 battleships. We chose hit points, firing range, armor-piercing DPM, secondary battery range, and max speed for our stat comparison. Hit points, number 1 is Flandre, 75,400. And 26 out of 29 ships, did I say 30 before? Sorry. 26 out of 29 ships, Atlantico, 60,100. Firing range, number 1, Azure Lane, New Jersey at 18.0. Atlantico's 28th, one from the bottom at 16.4. The Odin is the weakest at 15.2. Wow, that is scary. All right, armor-piercing DPM, Kansas, number 1. 262,588. Where did it go? Atlantico's 21, 214,000. And that's the end of the match. Real quickly, secondary range, Bismarck Black, number 1, 7.7. Atlantico tied for essentially third with the Bismarck and Zeton at 7.5. Max speed, Champagne number 1, 34.0. Atlantico tied for last with the Kansas at 25 knots. That is your stat comparison. All right, here we are on the victory screen. High caliber medal, 146,882 total damage. We ended up with 590,082 silver, 6335 ship XP, 1585 green XP, 13,373 commander XP in this ship. I want to like it. I just think they just made up a bunch of stuff and threw it together and said, "Oh, this is a real ship," when they could have given you an actual ship design for Brazil. But they didn't bother doing that. Anyway, we're ended up third with a base XP of 2346, 1 medal, 1 big kill. Good game by our destroyers, just showing you the outsized impact on the match. Akatsuki very close to a Kraken, so GG to you. And as you can see, Vladivostok, powerful ship, but if you negate it early in the match, then it's all downhill from there for the enemy team. All right, so in a minute here, we're going to go into the port and take a look at Atlantico. All right, here are the upgrades. Secondary battery mod 2. Damage control system mod 2. Target acquisition system mod 1. And secondary battery mod 3. Although we didn't really have ideal circumstances to show that build here in the game. Armor piercing only here in the loadout. 3 charges of the repair party. 3 charges of the enhanced secondary targeting. We're running some epic booster flags there. As you can see, commander and global XP and credits. We've got this permanent Type 9 camouflage. And continuing the Pander-fest, Carnival do Brasil flag. Well, I would love to go to Carnival in Brazil. Looks like a party. I'm down with that. Don't get excited about this ship, though. Hate to say it. It's all fake. All right. I can't imagine what I'm talking about, except for maybe a hot Brazilian webinar. All right. 60,100 hit points and a 31% torpedo damage reduction with our build. Moving on to the artillery, you got those 5 twin 381 millimeter turrets, 16.8 kilometer firing range, 30-second reload, 30-second turn time. Max damage of those armor piercing shells, 10,962. 2 sets of secondaries, the range of both is 10.8 kilometers. The first set of 10 127s reloads every 4.8 seconds. Max HE shell damage, 1844 with a 5% fire chance. The second set of 8x2, 234 millimeters. Again, probably should be a higher caliber based on actuality. 10-second reload. The max HE shell damage, 3944 with a 21% fire chance. But again, it's just made-up armament on a made-up ship with a made-up commander. All to hopefully get Brazilian people to spend their hard-earned money on this thing. All right, secondary complement. You can see your dual-purpose 127s are the longest ranging secondaries. However, your best secondaries are the 40 millimeter Beaufort Mark I in a 12x2 arrangement. The damage per second, 149 out of those secondaries. So that's your best secondaries for this ship, in my opinion. All right, maneuverability, best AA, pardon me. Maneuverability, 25.8 knots, 800-meter turning circle, 15-second rudder shift time. Concealment, 14.3 on the surface, 12 kilometers from the air, 13.7 when firing from smoke. I got to tell you, the next page is going to be embarrassing. I didn't have a lot of great matches in the ship. 9 matches, a winning percentage is 34%. The game you just saw was my very best game in terms of maximum damage. And I think it would be, you could probably exceed that under ideal circumstances. Here in the armor viewer, I'm going to stupidly remove everything. All right, you got a below water citadel, although it seems rather large. This almost is like a World War One armor scheme on what they're calling a World War Two design, which we know is just horseshit. It's got a armor belt here. Don't be fooled by that 356. That is just a little teeny plate at the back of the armor belt, at least in the bow section. Your torpedo belt is down at the bottom of the ship. Barbettes are less heavily armored into the casemate. Only the turret faces are heavily armored. I would expect these turrets to get knocked out quite frequently at tier 7 and 8. Just one man's opinion on that. We're going to put the casemate armor back on, and I'm going to scroll through here looking for the armor belt like a moron. And eventually we'll get to it. And you can see it ranges between 152 and 356 millimeters on the broadside. So again, this armor profile to me, very reminiscent of a World War I era dreadnought ship. And I can't be convinced that this is anything other than that, even though they're claiming the year of design is 1945. Well, that Tennyson to whatever guy died in 1948. So I really doubt in the waning years of his life he was cranking out this battleship design. I think Wargaming took a 1916-ish era design and just changed the armament on it and said it was made in 1945. Here's your fake commander. It says entirely fictional. So they couldn't even give you a real historical Brazilian battleship commander. They had to give you a fake one. I mean, unreal. I would be pissed off if I was Brazilian. This is an insult. Anyway, the base trait here does a lot of different stuff. Multi-tool. Maybe it also ought to be called totally ineffective because it just does a little bit of that stuff. We got Haruna and Von Hipper because I went all in on secondaries. Of course, you don't have Porcupine with a base commander. Anyway, no fly zone before it's too late. That might be a shocker to somebody. Velocious and reaching out XXL. We went with Wildery build, but maybe if I had to do it over, I might go with fully packed to get an extra secondary charge. Obviously, you're not going to need Unstoppable. So maybe in the future I'll play with this and see how that goes. Anyway, that's the Atlantico, folks. It's totally made up. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, but I can't say I'm very happy about the historical accuracy of this ship. But other than that, it can be entertaining. Hope you enjoyed the video.